And one of snooker's most famous faces and voices, John Virgo, has died at the age of 79. And BBC commentator John Virgo has died at the age of 79. He won the UK Championship in 1979 and went on to co-present the snooker TV programme Big Break in the 90s and early 2000s. Joe Linsky looks back at his life.
It's only a game, so...
On Saturday nights in the 90s, the prime-time slot went to snooker. Around 10 million people would tune in each week to see one man take his cue.
John Virgo!
This was John Virgo's stage, the big break in his career. One that started back in the 60s in the snooker halls of Salford, where at 15 he left school to compete as an amateur. But this sport was on the rise, and so was Virgo. At age 30, he turned professional, and in 1979 he won the UK Championship, his one major trophy, but later he revealed why he could never watch it back.
The night I had my great moment, there was a national strike of TV technicians and nobody saw it.
Your biggest moment in your life?
Yeah, nobody saw it.
Well, we've managed to find that tape. No, we ain't. Just kidding.
Between frames, Virgo also brought entertainment. He did impressions of fellow players.
Thank you very much.
The TV world would start to notice. In the late 80s, his form was in decline. He'd run up debts through gambling. With his career on the brink, he took a call from the BBC.
I'm gonna be snookering you tonight's Big Break!
With comedian Jim Davidson, he starred in Big Break, doing trick shots with contestants.
Hit through the centre of the neck and flick the basket up.
And setting up the stars.
Right, Ronnie, you've got 5 seconds to pot this black. Yeah!
The show gave Virgo a route into further fame.
And John Virgo comes
to book deals, panto, and his own line of waistcoats. But he was always most at home on snooker's greatest stage. For decades at the Crucible, he was the voice of his sport. Virgo's commentary brought jeopardy.
Where's the cue ball going? Where's the cue ball going? No!
He was on the mic for the BBC just 17 days ago at the final of the Masters.
And it's Kyron Wilson now. His second Triple Crown victory.
For 40 years, his presence made this sport entertainment. John Virgo was the bridge between the pockets and the people. Snooker without him will never sound quite the same.
And now he can relax. The job's done.
John Virgo, who's died at the age of 79.
Tributes are being paid to one of snooker's best-loved characters, John Virgo, following his death at the age of 79. The Salford-born player won the UK Championship in 1979 and later became a household name as a presenter on the BBC's 90s game show Big Break. He was known for his passionate commentaries on the professional game.
Where's the cue ball going? Where's the cue ball going? No!
Players held a 1-minute silence ahead of the final session of the World Grand Prix in Hong Kong, and some of snooker's greatest players have also paid tribute. 6-time world champion Steve Davis said he was a brilliant commentator. Fans couldn't help but be swept up in his enthusiasm in the moment, while 7-time world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan said that he was such a great mate who I loved spending time with, absolutely gutted. Presenter Hazel Irvine worked with John many times.
He had such a great voice. He had such gravitas, but also he had the wit and the humour that could keep us all on the edge of our seats. He was hugely loved, and I think he's completely irreplaceable.
Well, Mike's joined us on the sofa now. We're going to chat a bit about a wonderful career, aren't we? And we're joined also by John Parrott. John, morning to you.
Morning.
Former world snooker champion yourself, John. And I'm just, as someone who didn't know John Virgo and just knew him from his work and the snooker and his work on TV, I always think there was a kind of a warmth and a humour. That's what came across to those of us who didn't know him personally.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct. I mean, warmth and a humour, but totally professional as well, Charlie. Absolutely loved the sport for what it was. You'd never hear him say a bad word about snooker. Everything he had in his life, he got through snooker, and he totally loved the sport. Even if he'd be in the commentary box for hours and he'd finish a session, he'd take off his headphones and he'd turn and say, "What a great game that was!" Even though he was on it and actually trying to enhance the viewing for people at home, he still loved the sport itself.
It doesn't always work, does it, that being a great player, and he was a great player in his own right, makes you a good commentator? It doesn't always work that way, does it?
No, absolutely not. And I think quite a few of the young lads who play on the tour one time, there was mutterings about, some of the commentators being a bit older, this and that. And we had a couple of them in the commentary box, and they soon realised that how good John was, and it's not that easy, to be honest with you. So they got a few eye-openers working with John, because he was a total professional in everything he did. Always on time, always there checking, making sure that, speak to the director, make sure the sound was good, everything ready and prepared. So, and from ball one, he'd be off and away.
Yeah, hi, John, it's Mike here. I love the phrase that he was almost like the bridge between the pockets and the people, making snooker box office on Saturday nights, didn't he, with Big Break? What was that? Was his sense of humour? I mean, he could make even the most boring frames seem so dramatic with the stories he'd weave through commentary.
Enthusiasm, as I've said to you before, it's enthusiasm. We love the sport for what it is. I mean, we could have double sessions at the Crucible and you'd be in at 1 o'clock. You might only get an hour in between two of them. And if you've got a late night finish, coming out 11, half 11, and he still managed to keep that enthusiasm. We'd see him late, he might have a drink late in the bar, shake it off, he'd have breakfast in the morning and he'd be ready to go again. But he just totally loved the sport, and he everything he gave of his best. We did shows around the country, and we did 31 of them from sort of Inverness to Plymouth, and every night never missed a beat. Totally professional, new audience, let's give them the best we've got.
And famous not only for his phrases like, "Where's the cue ball going?" as we heard, but also his impersonations of other players.
Yeah, I mean, that's a brave thing to do. It's innovative to come up with the idea anyway, but brave to go out and do it. Could have fell flat in his face with it, but he was absolutely brilliant at it and brought the house down. So, as I say, he was never more comfortable at any time than with a microphone in his hand. He was a showman, and you put a microphone in him and he came out and he always gave of his best.
John, morning, it's Naga.
Morning.
What was it like to go up against him?
He was a fierce competitor. Yeah, he was a fierce competitor, obviously very good. I mean, at a young age, he was British boys champion when he was 16, and he came through the amateur ranks, and then he came through, he was playing with your Ray Reardons, John Spencers, Alex Higgins, Dennis Taylors, all those greats. And he managed to win the UK in 79. So if you win a major, you're a proper player. And he certainly gave me an education the first time we played. I thought I was pretty good till I ran into him, and he showed me where I needed to improve. And, it was a few years before I got the better of him. But he was a proper player in his own right. And it was only later on when his neck started to give him a bit of trouble that he had to pack in playing, and it was a seamless transition into the commentary box.
We've got a picture, I think, of both of you in pantomime. This? What on earth is going on here? You'll have to take us through this.
Wow.
Am I inside a cat? Is that the one you've got?
Yeah, yes. I've got, You're a gnome. You're a gnome.
Oh, I'm a gnome for that one. Yeah. Oh no, that was like a special. Yeah.
There's more than one. Then come on, where's this come about?
I know. Well, it was just on Big Break, and they said, "Do you mind doing one of those?" I went, "No, go on, I'll do it for a laugh." And then the other one, I was inside a Cheshire cat, so there was a parrot inside a cat. I got all that one as well. So, but it was just great fun. That programme wouldn't have worked if it hadn't been for the chemistry between the two of them. And that if someone had said to me, "You put a snooker table on peak viewing on a Saturday night, and there'll be a quiz show, and it's going to work and have millions of viewers," I'd never have believed it. But because those two were so good together, they carried the show.
Well, John, if you were to give us a moment of one of your memories of time with John over the years, what would that moment be? What's because everyone has one of those thoughts, don't they? When someone passes away and you have a thought, you've put yourself in a time and place. Where would you be with him? Well, in the commentary box, because that's where he was at his absolute supreme best, and you always knew that when you were in there with him, you were in a very safe pair of hands. That what you were watching was going to be reported correctly, and he was going to do it with great humour, and he was going to love the sport. And I absolutely loved working with him, because I'd like to think I'm as professional as he is. And to work with somebody like that, it's just easy. It makes your job easy, makes your life easy. But he absolutely loved the sport. And I'm sure that came through in a home for people listening. Certainly did. John, lovely to chat with you this morning. Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Wow, what a legacy.
What a lovely tribute as
so
well.
Many memories,
People are so fond of John Virgo. You just know that
even those people that didn't really follow the snooker, they just tuned in for him and see his tricks on a Saturday night.
They absolutely knew him.
Yeah.